Okay, my beautiful friends, sit back and relax, because do you know why? Today just happens to be the first trading day of the new year. And if you think for a nanosecond that it's going to be any less freaky than we've had, like, well, almost since forever now, you are mistaken. It's already started. The economic news, the twisting of data, and it's just going to be freaking lovely. Oh, and of course the big fear tactic that started just miraculously at the beginning of this new lovely year. You know, this new variant, it's really, really bad. It's really bad. So remember to be afraid and terrified, scared. I'm so frightened. Really, look, you know the mechanism here. This is going to be the theme moving into the new year. More reasons to be terrified because of nothing. More propaganda, distractions, lies, deceptions. I mean, you know, that's just the way it's going to go. Why would it be any different when you have this mechanism here in place, people, to twist the minds of men and women into every which way you can dream about and think about, away from what's real, and to focus on, all this other nonsense that is being used as a weapon. The entire system, upside down, backwards, and sideways, has been weaponized to the highest possible order. And this mechanism here, as you all know, is being used as a means to an end. And we're going to talk more about that too. So, just before we touch on the markets this morning, let me read some economic news and some world news to you. So the International Mafia Fund, also known as the IMF, well, we heard from the IMF, and this is what they're saying here, the chief of the IMF, so let's not forget that part. 1/3 of the world is going to be in recession this year. How about the entire world is being pushed into something that has yet to be defined, much worse than a recession, by central banks who are on a mission to fulfill their end game. And you know this, to be the lender and buyer of last resort. Now, speaking of that, just a miracle happened. Yeah, overnight. Yeah, it's kind of miraculous. No, because you and I knew this was going to happen. What am I talking about? For some reason, yet to be revealed to the public, you and me included, bonds, global bonds, are in rally mode. Oh, what does that mean? It means some entities out here, Europe, here in the United States, some yet to be defined entities, how about it's the central banks, the European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve, are in here right now as I am doing this video blog, and they're buying mountains of debt. Mountains of debt. And how can we see this? How do we know this is happening? How do we know that Greg Mannarino isn't just making this up, just pulling it out of a hat? Well, you can see what's happening to global bond yields. They are dropping, and they're dropping rather significantly here. So the 10-year yield here in the United States, lower. Bonds in Europe, lower bond yields. So again, how does this happen? It means that there's some mysterious entity out here buying all the debt. Really? Oh no! Who would have imagined that? People, you and I knew this was going to happen. Go check my videos from the end of last year. Okay, we got how I explained, and you and I knew this would happen, that they're not going to allow the bond market to melt down. And we knew it was just a matter of time before central banks started buying more, because they're not done. I've been telling you this since forever. They're not done. They're not done. They're not done creating slaves to the system. They're not done propping up the global debt market. It's amazing to me. You can see this happen in real time by watching. If you pay attention, as I do, to the global debt market, the global bond market, you know what's happening. You know who's doing it. Believe me, you're not buying the debt. I'm not buying the debt or buying all these bonds. It's central banks, and they going to continue to keep for as long as they possibly can until they get more slaves to the current system involved. They're going to keep suppressing rates, suppressing rates, suppressing rates. They're not going to allow the debt market to implode just yet. So let's keep our eyes on this. Let's watch the MMRI today. An interesting phenomenon is occurring here as well. The demand for U.S. dollars, well, it seems like people want to hold dollars right now. And how can we see this in real time? You see, how do we know Greg isn't making that up either? Look at the relative strength of the dollar. The relative strength of the dollar this morning, as I am doing this lovely video, is up higher by over 1%. So, oh yeah, dollar demand is higher right now. The relative strength of the dollar is higher right now. Doesn't mean anything lovely is going on here, because I'm telling you, you're going to see destruction of the purchasing power of not just the dollar, but other freakish central bank issued notes around the world. Currency devaluation, that's another big thing for this year. Currency devaluation. I'm going to say it 2 more times. Currency devaluation, currency devaluation. That's going to be the theme for 23. All right. Central banks are going to continue to buy all the debt as they're doing right now. They're buying all the debt. Bond yields are coming down. This isn't you. This isn't me. This is central banks. Okay. It's in our freaking face. And it's just going to keep going on and on and on and on until it doesn't. So what's really lurking underneath this? Why right now are central banks buying more debt? Number one is because that's what they do. And it's an insane mechanism how they issue debt through one door and they buy it back through another. Issue debt through one door, buy it back through another. And this mechanism here right now, at least for today, at least, you know, trading doesn't start for about 40 minutes, is you got there's a rally in global bonds right now. It's a rally. Oh, it's a rally. I got to own that debt. I got to just own it. Oh, yeah. No one's got to own it. It's central banks because they want to own it. They want to buy it all. They want to be the lenders and buyers of last resort. Duh. Can they please get a duh? Maybe a double duh. Duh. Ah, this shit gets to me. So, anyway, so another issue here that we found out with regard to, and you know, look, let's just talk about it, okay, before I have a meltdown. Inflation, we found it this morning, inflation in Europe, okay, we just found out here in the United States, inflation continues to rise, but at a slower pace than our rocket scientist economists predicted, so that's a good thing. Inflation is still rising here in the United States, but lower than the brain surgeon, rocket scientist, economist said it would. Now, in Europe, we got the same problem, the same issue here. Oh, inflation continues to rise, although it missed the mark, but it's still going up. Duh. Now, listen, you and I knew that was going to happen. I mean, come on. It's not going to stop. They're going to play this up like it's the second coming. Oh, inflation, it's still rising, despite the Herculean effort, because central banks are so determined right now to, you know, control inflation. And you know they're doing this, you know, because, and they're really serious about it. They're really serious because they're raising rates, and they're raising them again, and they're raising them again, and they're raising rates again. But meanwhile, let's see, bond yields are dropping right now. So we have central banks raising rates, but yields are dropping. Duh, who's buying it? I wonder who. Look, you can't make this stuff up. You can't do it. It's impossible. But that is exactly what's going on right now. And where's the coverage on the mainstream propaganda ministry channels? How about it doesn't exist? Oh, imagine my shock. So yes, global inflation continues to rise, and it's not going to stop. And I can tell you this, as you are well aware of, currency devaluation, you remember I just said it like 3 or 4 times? Well, that's going to continue too. So inflation is going to continue to get worse, but it's going to miss the mark set forth by the lovely, perfect, beautiful economists, because they're so smart. They don't even exist. You see, the economists that they so-called poll for these, they don't exist. They're not real. Just like the rest of the dog shit propaganda, data, and everything else that they want to throw at us here. Anyway, let's look over here at the market. So, as I said, bond yields dropping, relative strength of the dollar is higher. Let's see how this affects the MMRI today. We were just over 250 with regard to the MMRI at the end of last week. Well, I think right now, last time I looked at it, we're at 244. Let's see if they managed to push that down a little bit here. I think that that's exactly what they're going to do, and the stock market's going to spray its shorts all over the place thinking about it. That's just my take, but we'll see how that actually goes. We are existing, people, in the most deceitful environment in the history of the world. It's a super game on an unprecedented scale, and you can look forward to not just, $2 trillion spending packages being thrust upon you by our loving, caring policymakers in Washington, but leaders around the world, so-called leaders who are being puppetized by central banks around the world, and investment banks, they're all in the same boat here, are going to find more reasons to put more debt on your back, create more slaves to the system. And then when they're finally done, when they've sucked everyone in, that's when they're going to pull that plug here. And that's when we're going to get this meltdown here in the global debt market that people aren't going to believe. It's going to be unfreaking believable, really, truly. So stock futures are higher. Stock futures are higher right now. Do you know why? Because bond yields are dropping, and the market sees this as a good thing. So we're getting that. Who knows if it's going to last? We also have crude oil right now under pressure, about 1%. Bitcoin, crypto's under some pressure right now. Gold and silver are higher this morning, despite the stronger relative strength of the dollar. I love putting this stuff together, people, and I'm sure you do too. It's just so enjoyable. It's so lovely. It really is. No, it's not. But what is lovely is, people, all of you that step up to support my work. And I want to enlighten you onto something. It's so few of you who actually do support my work. It's astonishing, but I do appreciate it, those of you who do. And if you feel like supporting my work, at the beginning of every month, I ask for your support. I don't think it's such a big deal. Honestly, I bust my rear end to get this stuff out to you twice a day. I'm telling you, I'm going to blow a gasket. But if you feel like supporting my work, there are 2 ways to do it. Number 1, if you want, there is a link in the description of this video, or there's a little heart down here. I think it's over here, right over here. Click on that little heart. All I ask for is $5. Greg's doing a good job. I like him. He's a good guy. I know we got to have each other's back. All right, with that said, people, look, I'm out of here. I want you to ponder the freak show, because I'm telling you, 2023, oh, it's going to get a lot more freaky. You can count on that. Just like Greg Mannarino is going to get more freaky just to remain sane. You see, I have to do these things, because if I don't, I will sincerely blow a gasket. Love you. See you at the end of the day.